There was a man named Dr. Viktor Frankl. Let me know if you've ever heard about him. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And my parents knew Viktor Frankl, actually. My mom and dad, they welcomed him when he came to Toronto, Ontario, the one time to speak. My mom was the MC, and they had dinner with him and everything else. So I heard about him ever since I was a child. Dr. Viktor Frankl was unfortunately put into the Auschwitz Nazi concentration camp. Okay? So for those who aren't aware, this was a Nazi death camp. You know, on day one, he was put into this place, and I think the research showed that only 1 in 28 ended up surviving. But he's in this concentration camp. His wife was taken away from him, his family was torn apart, all of his possessions are gone, and he's being worked like a slave. And you're being mistreated, and the living conditions are horrible. If you got like soup, it was like winning the lottery if you actually got a chunk of potato in your soup. You didn't really have a bed, you were sleeping on boards. And you had to go for roll call every day. And if you looked tired in roll call, they shot you dead. So you have to pretend to be lively. And it was a very discouraging situation because they'd hear rumors that they were going to get out in a week, but a week would turn into a month, could turn into years, and you never know when you're getting out of this absolute torture. So amidst these experiences, you know, one time prisoners walk by, and they saw prisoners going by, and these people in the concentration camp were admiring the prisoners. They're like, wow, you actually have a bed, you may have a toothbrush, you know if your family's alive or dead. What a privilege it would be a prisoner. Just to put things in perspective. He's in this Nazi concentration camp, and he noticed that some of the people that were in there with him, they would fight for their life with everything they had to try to survive this experience. And other people would let it get the best of them, and they would give up. And unfortunately, they wouldn't take care of themselves, they'd just let themselves be killed off. And Viktor Frankl, being a doctor of psychology, wanted to understand what's making the difference here. It's not age, it's not fitness. Why are some people surviving and doing what it takes to survive and others are not? So he started to chat with the people that were in there. And he realized that it was really clarity of life purpose that was the deciding factor. Are you aware of what your mission in life is or not? Do you have clarity on that? Because life purpose is really one of the most motivating factors in a human being. And for Viktor, he had 2 goals. One was to see his wife again. The other life purpose he had was that he at one point had a vision. He was walking along one day, you know, exhausted probably and discouraged, and he had a vision come to him of speaking in a lecture hall in Vienna about this experience in the Nazi death camp and mission and purpose in life. And so that became his purpose, to actualize that and experience that. Keeping that purpose in mind, staying in touch with the purpose, was what gave him the drive to keep going amidst all this hardship. When others were getting discouraged and giving up, he just kept hanging on to that purpose. And so Viktor eventually got out of was one of the lucky few to survive the little Nazi death camp. And unfortunately, his wife had been killed on day 1 when they separated them, and he didn't know that. He left the Nazi concentration camp. All of his possessions were gone. His work was gone. He had to start his whole life over again. And at this point, that was a hard challenge too, you know? Viktor talked about suffering. If they're testing out a new life-saving medication and they're doing injections of it on, say, a chimpanzee, that chimpanzee has no intellect to know the meaning of its suffering, that, you know, thousands of human lives are going to be saved because of this needle, because they're testing out this life-saving medication. It doesn't have the intellectual capacity to understand the greater purpose behind its suffering. And Viktor felt that we need to pause our judgment of our own suffering, because across all space and time, we're operating from limited understanding. We don't know the ultimate purpose of our suffering and how it's a stepping stone to a greater good. So this was an attitude Viktor had that really served him, because at this point it just seems like his life is endless suffering. So he started to rebuild his life. He met a new woman and remarried. And he had this concept called logotherapy, where he would just help people get clear on what their mission in life is. And all of a sudden, everything would turn around for them. They'd start to get better. They'd start to wake up in the morning and work and heal. And so he'd encourage people, just if you have any clients that aren't getting any better, send them to me. And he would just help people figure out their mission in life. And he had wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, which became a very popular book. He was going around the world touring and everything. One of his first talks was in Vienna. And he said, "This moment right here in front of you is the moment I had envisioned when I was in the Nazi concentration camp. This is the actual moment right now. It's happening." And so one of the things I do when I'm coaching people is I help them get clarity on their mission in life. Oh, look at this. This is really good for chipmunk fishing. It's a peanut with a stem still attached. But the raccoons, they're just so good. They got these really sharp claws. By the way, I have to be careful they don't climb up on my legs, because those who know raccoons know that if they climb up your legs, underneath your pant legs, you'll be bleeding, because their nails are so sharp. You know, a lot of times I'll tell people, you know, tell me what your plans are for next weekend. And they might be able to come up with a very detailed explanation of what their plans are for next weekend. And then I say to people, tell me what your mission in life is. And it's like I just stumped them. And it's like, hold on, can we not see how silly this is, that we're getting so caught up in the day-to-day that we forget the greater mission. So sometimes we need to reconnect with our purpose. So I break it down into three categories. The first category is the love category. So first of all, I say to them, you know, who are you here to love and care for? That's your mission in life. Right now in this moment, it doesn't have to be human too, it could be animals. Right now in this moment, it's these raccoons and all of you, for me. Who are you here to love and care for? Think about the people in your life, the people, your family, your friends. Think of their names specifically. Try to avoid using general categories. General categories don't have as much emotional pull as saying the names, but you'd write them out. Who are you here to love and care for? And you can do this right now with me if you like. It's a very powerful drill to help give you that motivational drive. Who are you here to love and care for? Think of pets. It might be future people you haven't met yet, future kids or grandkids, that you're already here to love and care for them. Forest friends, future forest friends. We want to think about all of these people are part of your life mission. That's the love category. The next category is the live category. So I say, I want you to write down, what do you want to do in your life? What do you want to have? Maybe you want to have a little home, just like this one here that this little sweetie is in. Do you want a peanut for your little house? Nope, she's getting down. Maybe you want to have a car one day. Maybe you want to have a pool one day. You know, what do you want to have? What do you want to experience? You know, do you want to experience more Christmas mornings, more birthdays with friends and family, more family get-togethers? Do you want to experience more trips? What do you want to learn about in your life? Do you want to learn about the human body, or do you want to learn about the mind or the spirit? Do you want to learn how to help people believe in themselves? Do you want to learn gardening or music, different forms of exercise or dance? Do you want to learn about the stars and planets? Do you want to learn about history? What do you want to learn about? That's part of your life mission. These days it's wonderful we are so privileged in these times to just turn on YouTube and other things and just be able to watch and learn for free. It's an incredible time we live in. I'm so grateful for it. You know, all the kings and queens of past ages in humanity would have given their entire kingdom for just some of the access to like the internet and YouTube and stuff that we have today. And what are the experiences you want to have in life? Do you want to see the Northern Lights one day? Do you want to see live sumo wrestling one day? I did this year in Japan. It was very entertaining. Do you want to make friends with some wild animals? What are some of the experiences you want to have in your life? That's part of your life purpose. And then the final category, the third L, is legacy. How do you want to leave this world a better place? You know, do you want to create something one day to share with the world? Maybe a book, maybe videos you want to create that are good for benefiting suffering humanity. And maybe you want to create a business one day. You can really hear the loons in the background. I'm not sure if you're able to hear them. Sometimes at night they just start making a lot of noise and it's really wonderful to hear. I tell people to think about your legacy as something you leave inside of people, not something on the outside. An example that you set for them on a really good attitude on how to live life. You know, a really good example of hard work and dedication and perseverance and resourcefulness, finding a way or making a way through life's tough times. A lot of times when I tell people, like, who was your greatest role model, a lot of people, the most common answer I hear from people is their mums. It's not some famous celebrity or anything else like that, it's their mums. Why? Because of the amount of love and caring and love and service to others. And you know, who was it for you in your life that's been a huge positive influence, and why? Maybe it was your father, maybe it was a grandparent, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a particular friend that really role modeled good values and made you want to be a good person just like them. I think for me, one of the things that I want to be my legacy is to be an example of the perfect attitude under all circumstances. I'm always trying to find out, what is that perfect attitude under all circumstances? This is an idea I got from Paramahansa Yogananda, who I have such love and respect for. He wrote about 15, or he's the author of about 15 books, and I read them all. He coached Gandhi on meditation. Steve Jobs really looked up to him. Very famous. Autobiography of a Yogi is a book that changed my life. He inspired me with that idea. Find the perfect attitude for all situations. Maybe there's a certain way you want to contribute to society, volunteering, a charity or something, or a cause you really believe in, like feed the raccoons is the current cause I believe in this moment, clearly. We worked through a package of hazelnuts. Yeah, just think about your legacy. How you'd like to be a force for good in the world and leave the world better off. And I get people to really reflect on their mission in life and really get clarity on it. And then I say, you know, what's one small action step you would take right now to get on track or stay on track with this life mission? And I tell people you need to just remember all this stuff. Once you got it written out, you need to remember it, because this is what will keep you going when times get hard, to remember the mission. Wherever you are and whoever you are, I just want to send some positive vibes your way. You have my honor and respect, no matter what, because I know we're all just doing the best we can with what we know out there. And we're all innocent as we struggle with our confusion, trying to figure out how to live a human life. And so I hope in some small way that our time here together tonight was of value to you and helps give you perhaps some clarity on some opportunities to strengthen yourself from within. And if there are topics that you'd like me to address in future, please let me know in the chat. If you have any requests, please let me know in the chat. And other than that, it's an honor and a pleasure to feed these raccoons tonight with you. I know they appreciate it.